Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back. I'm Katja. Today we're stepping into the intriguing realm of storytelling, where not everything is as straightforward as it seems. Now, in literature, as in life, we're often guided by narrators whose reliability is less than perfect. This might sound familiar, especially if you've ever listened to fanciful tales spun by parents about an older man in a red suit who climbs down chimneys with the athleticism of an Olympic athlete, or an Easter bunny, and more. These unsurprisingly common experiences with unreliable narrators in the real life sets the stage for our exploration today, which is focused on prose, the written word, rather than the world of movies and visual stories. So settle in with your favorite snack and grab your cuppa. I've gone with coconut water, although it looks like milk, but it's water. If this is your first visit, hit subscribe. I would love to see you here again. And if you're a returning viewer, you already know to expect a dive into the fascinating world of books. So let's get started. Today, we're considering unreliable narrators, a term popularized by literary critic Wayne Booth in his book, The Rhetoric of Fiction. Now, Booth defined unreliable narrators as those who do not adhere to the norms of the story as dictated by the implied author, presenting the narrative in a biased or distorted manner. I'll save specific book recommendations for the end of the video. Knowing a book features an unreliable narrator can often feel like a spoiler in itself, because it's part of the intrigue in discovering the unreliability as the story unfolds. However, if you, like me, are eager to know which books have an unreliable narrator so that you can actually add them to your reading list, watch to the end. And also a big thank you to Lena Norm's The Gumption Club. And she also provided a recommended book, but I had over 25 recommendations from the Gumption Club and several from my channel's fantastic community, so thank you for your suggestions. In this video, I will mainly focus on well-known classics like Rebecca and Wuthering Heights, who are already known for having unreliable narrators. And as for a modern twist, I'm choosing Gideon the Ninth to refer to because Gideon is immediately presented as unreliable and contradicted by other characters and often caught off guard by events. So the enjoyment of reading about her is less about slowly discovering that she's unreliable, but is actually in realizing how her biases and her unreliability make it tricky for her as a character and therefore us to see what's coming next in the story. So that's the reason I chose that one. Additionally, I'll discuss a character who is not an unreliable narrator, but I believe they would make an intriguing choice to be an unreliable narrator if Pride and Prejudice were retold from their point of view. If you've read the book, who do you think would provide a fascinating and twisted account of the story? Let me know in the comments. We'll come back to that. So, narrative voice. Every storyteller crafts their tale with a unique narrative voice, encompassing tone, approach, and elements beyond direct dialogue or the character's inner thoughts or the monologue. This voice shapes our perceptions as readers, setting scenes, detailing physical appearances, and describing actions. Even narrators who seem neutral can subtly influence how we view the world, whether they describe someone as hissing a reply or simply saying something can really paint very different emotional states. In effect, narrators are never just passive conveyors of events. They are active participants whose voices can significantly sway your perception, my perception, readers' perceptions. However, some narrators are inherently less reliable than others. So, the unreliable narrator distorts a version of events because of missing facts, misunderstandings, or deliberate deceit. While minor biases are common, a narrator becomes truly unreliable when their account deviates substantially from the established reality of the fictional world that we're reading about. Now, I prefer the complexity that comes out of unintentional misunderstandings rather than outright deceit. Maybe we should do a poll on this because I have a feeling I might be in the minority. Do you like outright liars more or less? Let me know. Whatever your preference, there's a marked difference between narrators being aware of their deception and those that mislead by their perceptions of the world around them. Now, I think it's a balance. The most skilled authors balance truth and deception masterfully, using their unreliable narrators to shape how we're perceiving and interacting with the story. Mostly, I think of them as misleading us intentionally or unintentionally, the characters. But let's expand on more types, and I've gone with 9 variations for this discussion. So, first up, we have the liar, which is my least favorite, deliberately deceiving the audience, often for personal gain or to conceal the truth. Such narrators provoke antagonism and compel us to question and unravel their fabrications, commonly weaving their deceptive threads through the plot of mysteries or thrillers and other genres, but those are the two that I think use it a lot. Then we've got the delusional. Their unreliability comes from mental instability or severe psychological distress, leading to a distorted perception of reality that often manifests as imagined narratives. Then we have the naive, often a child or someone with limited understanding. And this narrator misinterprets events because of innocence or ignorance, echoing times when we have been misled by a skewed perspective presented as reality. I find it easiest to feel empathy for this sort of unreliable narrator. Then we have the clown who uses humor and exaggeration to deliberately distort the truth for comedic effect, challenging our ability to separate fact from playful fabrication. The imposter assumes a false identity or misrepresents their true nature, casting doubt on all their narration for us. The traumatized, their unreliability stems from psychological trauma affecting their memory and perception, and often engendering empathy as we empathize with characters like this who are struggling within the confines of their limited understanding. Then we've got selective memory, where the person omits or embellishes details because of biases, fading memory, or personal motivations, leaving us amused or skeptical about the veracity of their accounts. The distracted. Now, the distracted person misses key details or misinterprets events because of a lack of focus, leading to an incomplete or incorrect rendering of the story. The biased, personally my favorite, influenced by personal prejudices or loyalties, their partiality skews their perspectives, as seen with characters like Nellie Dean in Wuthering Heights, whose local gossip colors the tale of, well, these two lovers. Anyway, with personal bias, so it colors the whole story. Now, I do believe that biased narrators provide the most insightful character studies. Let me know if you prefer a different unreliable narrator. I like the naive and the biased, but for me, the biased vividly illustrates what it's like to be someone with limited self awareness or someone on the brink of a personal revelation, much like Emma Woodhouse in Jane Austen's Emma, who thought she knew it all until she realized she didn't. Now, very different from the influence of unreliable characters in Pride and Prejudice, which didn't have an unreliable narrator. But can you just imagine if the story was narrated by Lydia Bennet or George Wickham? Still, for me, the even more intriguing possibility would be if we had Mr. Collins as the primary narrator. His profound bias favoring Lady Catherine de Bourgh would just lend a comical slant to everything, favoring her family while distorting the portrayal of the Bennets. I would read that. Anyway, moving on from the social injustices or intrigues, more intrigues of Pride and Prejudice, through the Gothic moors of Wuthering Heights, we go to the futuristic Gothic sci-fi world of Gideon the Ninth, where Gideon demonstrates her bias in the most straightforward of ways. She formed her core beliefs when she was naive, and now her unreliable narration stems not from deceit, but from a cynical, sarcastic, and irreverent outlook. She ignores the conflicting views of other characters in the story because of her limited understanding, cynicism, and her liking for potential lethal ladies. I think it's fair to say genres delving into the darker aspects of the human psyche, such as thrillers, mysteries, and horrors, often employ unreliable narrators to evoke a sense of discomfort or suspense, meeting audience expectations for intrigue and tension. Meanwhile, unreliable narrators in genres like dramedy or romantic comedy subvert our expectations humorously by playing with narrative forms and not causing discomfort. Discovering such narrators in unexpected genres is actually really fun. To have someone who uses humor where we're expecting it to be quite dark. I can't think of an example now. If you think of something, do let me know. But anyway, unreliable narrators invite us to engage more actively with the story, turning us into detectives, piecing together the true narrative from a complex tapestry of half truths, misdirection, and personal biases. The active engagement deepens our investment in the story, compelling us to explore the narrative depths and uncover the underlying realities of the fictional worlds that we're exploring. So they're really useful in that way. And I think it's a skilled author who creates that bond between reader, narrator, and them, the writer. The engagement between the reader and the narrative deepens when we question the narrator's reliability. So techniques such as introducing contrasting points of view from other characters, or manipulating the timeline, or highlighting discrepancies by other characters enhance our suspicion and our trust in how reliable the person is who's telling us a story. And I think that encourages us not just to question the accuracy of the narrator, but it gives us some comfort in knowing that this is where it's going. So, for example, when other characters challenge or contradict the narrator's version of events, it signals that things are not as they appear. And the dynamic then enriches our understanding of the narrative's deeper truths and bolster our interpretive skills. By investigating these cues, we transform from passive recipients of the story into really active participants who are trying to figure things out. And I think that these clues are so vital because without them, we risk feeling as readers really deceived by a narrative, which can disrupt our reading experience and damage that essential bond of trust needed for a deep narrative immersion. And I think masters of this craft include Kazuo Ishiguro and Ian McEwan. And weaving these techniques into their narratives is what challenges our perceptions of reality and authenticity in their books. They prompt us to scrutinize our own beliefs using timeline manipulation to reveal key information only after we have formed initial assumptions. This reevaluation compels us to reconsider earlier parts of a story with new insights. You kind of go, oh, is this what that was showing me? It really enriches the reading experience. So, for instance, Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, the gradual revelation of the narrator's biases allows us to see her selective interpretation of events. The slow unveiling of secrets at Manderley perfectly balances deceit and authenticity, engaging readers deeply without making us ever feel manipulated. And these stories encourage us to explore layers of the narration and the complex themes of identity, memory, and reality. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to share on my thoughts about unreliable narrators. They are just such a fascinating element in storytelling, compelling us to become active readers, engaging deeply with the narrative to sift through what's real, and just making it more intriguing to actually read. I don't know how to describe it other than what I've already said. Being more active rather than passive in our reading. Yeah, let's leave it at that. If you're looking for more tales spun by unreliable narrators, stick around for the book recommendations. Otherwise, thanks for having joined me. Now, this selection has been curated from suggestions by our brilliant community here and the Gumption Club, showcasing a range of genres and styles, each offering a unique take on narrative unreliability. I'm going with titles only so that I don't go into spoilers. Nutshell by Ian McEwan, The Lost Daughter, Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead, Pale Fire, The Extinction of Irene Ray, Notes on a Scandal, My Cousin Rachel, Life of Pi, The Carpathians, The Catcher in the Rye, Gone Girl, The Remains of the Day, Piranesi, Blind Assassin, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, Boy Parts, Gentlemen and Players, We Have Always Lived in the Castle, Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, The Real Life of Sebastian Knight, Lolita, Code Name Verity, The Goldfinch, The Dangerous Kingdom of Love, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, My Husband, The Wasp Factory, Without Blood, Fight Club. And that's a wrap. How was it for you? If you've enjoyed dissecting the appeal of unreliable narrators, remember to like this video and subscribe. Now, your comments and suggestions are always welcome, so drop your thoughts below. And until next time, keep turning the pages and questioning the voices in them. Thanks for watching.